Hello, hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Marina Ray, and I am a licensed architect and licensed interior designer. I teach courses at the undergraduate level, and one of my courses is Understanding Construction Drawings. I have a playlist where I review the chapters of the textbook. It's like a high-level overview for those of you who would like to recap on the information highlighted there. So this video is about reading the drawings, reading the blueprints, and the drawings that I'm going to share with you are part of the textbook. They are copyright free and they are for the students to actually learn how to interpret them, how to read the blueprints, how to actually understand them and communicate using the drawings and the lines in the drawings. So I will place I will place this video in the playlist where you can access the chapters as well, and you can watch this as a separate video if you are not reviewing that textbook as part of your curriculum at the university. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to share my screen and you will see the drawings. So what we have here, we have two drawings. It's a packet here attached to the textbook, and we will review what is actually here, how to read that, and what you need to pay attention to. So first of all, you see that there are title blocks that are on both sheets. You see sheet 1 and sheet 2. And let's take a look at the title block more in detail. And yet, as you already may know, the title block may be placed on the right-hand side, and it can be placed on the bottom as well. So it totally depends on the architectural firm, it depends on the drafter, it depends on some other guidelines, but typically it's either on the right-hand side or on the bottom. And the reason is very simple. Back in the day, those were the paper drawings. Those were big rolls of drawings that were put together, stapled, binded together. And when you flip the drawings, basically you start flipping it from the bottom right corner. So most of the information was concentrated here in this corner. Now everything is digital. It's not relevant anymore, but still, we still have that placement on the sheet. All right, so let's take a look at the title block real quick. And the software that I'm using to review the drawings is called Bluebeam. And I am actually planning to record another video where I will highlight the functions of the software. So please stay tuned, subscribe and like, and just be part of my channel. And that will help you along your journey. All right, so what we see here. This is sheet 1. You see 1 of 2. Then the next compartment is you can see the date, you can see the scale, and just because there are different scales here, so we can see scale is 1/4 inch per foot, and then there is a site plan, which is 1 inch is equal to 20 feet. So the scale is not consistent throughout the whole sheet, and that's why it says as shown. So also the file is the apartments, and this is a DWN is drawn by, and these are the initials of the drafter. Usually it indicates who checked the drawings, the architect's name, but it's not shown here, and that's okay. That's for our educational purposes, just to see what in general we may encounter the drawings. So what we see here is the revisions, and this is revision 1 and revision 2, and these are the numbers. So you can see the date, and the revisions are actually put in the little triangles in deltas. So, and we will go through them when we take a look at the drawing itself. What else we see here? This is the name of the drawing. This is the address. And here you can see what is included here. Sometimes you see it here, you know, like it will be like A101 or something, and you will see that, that's the floor plan, or like 301, the reflected ceiling plan or something like that. But here it is slightly different, and that's totally okay. So here we can see the floor plan, elevations, and section. There is also a site plan here, right here. It is not indicated here in the list, but we know that this is there, and we will review it. Here, there is the architect information, the address of the architectural firm. And here you can see this blank square space. This is for the architect to sign and seal the drawing. And in the larger commercial projects, there will be a professional engineer sign and seal if those drawings are included in the set. So here you will see the round, you will see that just the round seal and the signature of the architect, and usually it's like 2 inches depending on the scale. So there will be something here. And this is, usually there is a logo here. So what we see here is the Understanding Construction Drawings. That's the textbook I mentioned. This is what it is coming from. So let's take a look at the floor plan first. Let's zoom it in a little bit. What we see here, we see the overall floor plan. And again, I repeat myself, this is just for the educational purposes. So it's not the ideal perfect drawing, but it is good for us to learn. So we see the overall dimensions. We see the breakdown of the dimensions. We see all the openings here, how they are dimensioned. We see the thickness of the walls, and we see the interior dimensions as well. So like from the partitions, you see the dimensions here. And we know that the dimension lines, if there's no room, like here, for example, you will see like a little arch, just, and you will know that that actually goes to this tiny little dimension because there is no room to place it in between those points. So what else we see? We see here that the scale is 1/4 inch per foot. And we see here that there are 2 different apartments. And this is the fire resistant wall. And the architect or the drafter, they actually leave the note here. You see this wall is thicker than the rest of the partitions. And there are some notes for the construction team, for the crew. So what to put together, what studs to use, and how actually everything needs to be placed, and what gypsum board needs to be there. So everything is kind of like highlighted here. So we see the openings, the fenestration, which is the doors and the windows. And we will see that there are numbers associated with the doors. So what that is that actually redirects us to the door schedule. So for example, these are 2 entry doors, right? Number 1. Let's go to the other sheet number 2. And here we see our door schedule. So number 1 right here is the entry door. And we can see the size, you can see the thickness, you can see the materials, hollow metal, right? HM stands for hollow metal, then type A, then material is wood for the frame, and there is the 5/8 inch insulated glass here, and that's the entry door. And usually hardware is included in the door schedule. We don't see it here, but that's okay. That's just for us to learn. So those are the doors, and you see there are different types of doors. So you see the little numbers, like you know, every door has different numbers. So this is just for the closet. This is the bifold door. This is just the interior doors, and these are the exterior doors. Same with the windows. You can see the header, that's um, the height. And here we see a little note, see header schedule. So when we go to sheet number 2, we can see this header schedule. And that's what those numbers refer to. Let's take a look at the other things. So you see that here there is a built-in kitchen. There is a bathroom with all the appliances, not appliances, with all the necessary components. There is the sink, there is the toilet, and there is the shower or the tub. And that's what is included with the apartment. So that's what actually needs to be built before any interior finishes take place. So also what else we see here, we see the elevation. So here we see the front elevation and the rear elevation. Why it is important to see the elevations? We need to understand the cladding, the exterior cladding, and it's best shown on the elevations. Here we see, for example, the horizontal siding is here, and it's not shown throughout the whole wall because that will look cluttered on the drawing. But we see here, like this is kind of like the starter, and we can imagine that this will go throughout the whole wall. And here we can see that that is the brick veneer that is here. And here we can see that there is the aluminum valley flashing, and there are plastic letters 4-inch tall. That's the number of the unit, and there is a trim that is painted. Also, we see on the roof there is the composition shingles here, and we can see the ridge vent and some other notes as well. So usually, I mean, typically, it's not the case here. The elevation is shown if it is on the same sheet, although in the larger commercial projects, it is not the same sheet. These are two different sheets, but here it's in one. But I would definitely like place it kind of like, to align. So like I would just move this guy to the right a little bit so it's kind of like aligned with the floor plan, but that's okay. We're here to learn. That's fine. So what else you see here on the elevation is you see the height of the building. And here you can see the dashed line. That's what we learned in the textbook. There are different types of lines. And this one is dashed. That means that it's not showing. That is the underground. That is the substructure, and this is the superstructure above the ground. So here, fin grade is the finished grade. This is the top of finished floor. And we can see here the bottom of the footing, that's 4 feet minimum. And that will be different depending on the location of the project, because you want to know where the frost line goes, because that's how deep your foundation will be. Here we see the top of the truss and that the top of the plate, and we see here that is the height. It's 8 foot and 1 1/8 inches here. So also what else we see here on the elevation, we see the roof slope here. And here on this little alcove, we see the types of the windows. Again, you see window A and window B, and we go to our sheet 2, and you can see the window schedule. So this is our type A, this is our type B. So we definitely need to kind of like cross-reference the information to be able to read the drawing. And these are the, this is the left side elevation as well. And it is typical. So it will be mirrored on the right side. So that's why it's not shown here. Also, please always remember where the north arrow is. That is critically important for your understanding of the building orientation. This is important. And here you can see that this says front elevation, but in some of the projects, you will see this will be the south elevation, and this will be the not the rear elevation, but the north elevation. So that is typical as well. So, but here we can see, rear, front, and side elevation. That's totally fine. Before we take a look at this section, let's take a look at the site plan. So what we see here is, first of all, it is a different scale. You can see that we need to see the whole property. So that's why the building is smaller, and the rest of the site is shown here. So what we see here, we see that there is the wetland here. And the note here says that no construction, vehicle traffic, or storage of materials may occur within protected environment area. The contractor shall maintain a construction fence and perform any other measures as directed by the engineer necessary for the protection of the area from runoff and silt migration until ground cover has been established. So this is like a typical note. And you know that you cannot build or do anything within the wetlands. So Environmental Protection Agency will not allow that. Here we can see the utilities. You can see the gas line, you can see the sanitary sewer, you can see the water line, and you can see the underground electric line. And this is how they are connected to the building. So we see that the electrical line comes here, and here we see the electrical panel here and here in one per apartment. So this is how it comes from the street, this Fairview Avenue, to the building. And then it's distributed throughout the apartment, but this comes into the building here. So what else we see here? We see the setbacks. This is the 22-foot setback. This is the 24-foot. Here we see there's the lawn. This is the concrete pavement. That's for the parking. And these are like the little back door. That's like a little patio 10 by 10. And that's concrete again. So we see the materials highlighted here as well. And sorry, no, the 22 and 24, that's the distance between the property and property line and the building. I apologize. So here we see the 10-foot front setback, and this is stated here, and the 15-foot side setback. So these are actually the setbacks. They dictate the buildable lot. This is how this is where we can build. This is where we can place the buildings. These are kind of like the limits. And then we have to do the floor area ratio calculations. We have to do other things and check the restrictions with the local AHJ or authority having jurisdiction. So there are other things that we need to actually review before placing the building onto the site. So let's take a look at the section as well. It is placed here. And again, section will be a separate sheet for a larger project. So usually it's the longitudinal and the transverse section. And longitudinal is apparently the long side of the building, and the transverse is just the building across. So what we see here, again, we see the heights. We see the bottom of the footing. We see the drainage here. We see the finished floor, and we see that the finished floor is the poured concrete foundation on 8 by 16 poured concrete footing. So that's how it is structured. There is the rigid insulation beneath the floor and here where the footing is. Also, what else we see is we see the engineered certified roof trusses. So they are most probably delivered to this site. They're already prefabricated, and the large trucks deliver them, so they are and they're gonna be assembled there, but they will be already pre-installed, fabricated. We see insulated headers here, and that's the notation. We see the exterior stud wall, that's 2x6 studs, and that's 24 inches on center. And the reason why we see 16-inch on center or 24 is just because the drywall width is 48 inches or 4 feet, and we need to make sure that nailing goes properly either in the middle of the drywall, or like there will be like 3 per sheet. So what else we see here? I think that was it for this sheet. Let's go to the second one. So what we already saw, we saw the header schedule, we saw the door schedule, and you see like there are different types of doors again, and different types of windows as well. So also there's like a little cross section for the header, and we saw there it was indicated that it is the insulated header, and here you can see more in detail. And again, details would be a separate sheet in the larger project, but here we can see everything in one. That's totally fine. We're learning. Also, we see the roof framing plan. That would be the structural drawing in the larger set. So, and what we see here, we can see the aluminum flashing, we can see the pitch of the wall, that's the direction of the drainage. Then there is the ice and water shield. Apparently, that's for the cold climate, because in, like, for example, hot and humid or hot and arid climate, there wouldn't be any shield like that for the ice. So there is no ice, but here this is apparently somewhere in the cold area. Then there is the ridge vent, the gable vent, and the aluminum flashing that goes there. Also here, this is the CL. Here stands for the central line, and you can see it's here. So this is symmetrical. And we can see here, that's the overframing, that's the hatched area, this triangle. Also, what else we see here? We see the roof edge, we see the girder truss, and here again, CL for central line, we see the ridge and the dimensions as well, the overall dimensions and more detailed dimensions. And we see here that the 24 feet is the building dimension, and 26 is the truss length. So the roof overlaps, and actually it is larger than the building footprint. That's how it's supposed to be for the waterproofing. So what else we see here? This is detail at the firewall. So what we see is we see the bat insulation. This like the zigzag is the bat insulation. That's the rolls in between the studs, and you see it goes, like here to cover everything. And that's the gypsum board. We can see there are 2 different types. So one is half inch, one is 5/8, and that's the 1 hour fire rated gypsum board on both sides. And that's the exterior wall. That's the brick veneer that is over there. Excuse me. Also, what else we see here? These are the interior elevations. That's the kitchen. That is the built-in kitchen. And this would be a separate sheet again. The interior elevations is usually on the separate sheet, but here we can see everything in one, just to save our time and attention. So here you can see the typical dimensions. You can see what is included. You can see that there is the splash there in the back. You can see that there's the light connected above the sink, and there's the hood and the range. So that's the node for the electrical. And also we can see the width of the typical cabinets and the height. So that's, pretty common to see the interior elevations. Usually for the commercial buildings, it's for the most part all the spaces where you need to place something on the wall. And here, what else we see? We see the door types. And you remember on our elevation, let's actually go there real quick. That's our front door, the exterior door. There's the little glass here, and that's type 1. So we see it here with all the details. That's the hollow metal with the insulated core. And we see different types of the doors here. What else we see in this drawing? We see the exterior wall section, which is typical. So apparently there will be some differences where there is no window. For example, it will just extend all the way to the truss. But here we see where actually the window is. So it shows us what it is composed of. And let's take a look. So here again, let's start from the bottom. You can see the footing. You can see the footing drain, and you see that that's the gravel wrapped in filter fabric. That's the pipe here. Also, we see that there is the runoff bank gravel here. It's 24 inches wide. We see the rigid insulation on the other side, on the interior side of the footing. Also, we see that there is the rebar, this little thing, and this here are the rebars. That's the foundation reinforcement, the concrete reinforcement with the number 4 rebar, and that's 36 inches on center. Also, what else we see here? That's the concrete foundation, 8 inches. There is the waterproof membrane or coating that covers the foundation before the gravel. So that's like a membrane there. Then what else we see here? There is the sloped finish grade to actually divert the water away from the house. And we see that there is the slope is 1/4 inch per foot minimum in all directions, and there are notes here stating that. So what else we see here? We see that the polyethylene tubing, that's the radiant heat that is used inside the floor, that will be tied to wire mesh prior to pouring concrete slab. That's like the instructions for the construction crew. And you need to use the manufacturer's specs and all applicable codes to install that before you pour the concrete onto the slab. So also what else we see here, that is the vapor barrier here. That's the, we see it right over here. Also, what else we see? We see the PVC sheathing. It's right over here. We see the bat insulation. We see the house wrap that is attached prior to applying the um, OSB sheathing here. And there is this siding that goes after that. And that's, it says here, siding per elevations. Also, what else we see here? There's the R30 graded insulation in the ceiling. And in the walls, what we see here, let me see where our insulation is showing here. Let me see. Here, this is the R21 bat insulation in the wall, but we need better insulation in the ceiling because, as you know, heat rises and we don't want to lose that precious heat, especially in the winter months. Also here, the top of the plate, the height, like the overall dimension. Also, you can see here that ice and water shield that we saw on the roof plan. And we see here that this is the standard roof system, and that's the 25-year asphalt or asphalt shingles over 15 roofing felt. So, and that's over 3/4 OSB sheathing with edge clips. So basically, it's like the sandwich of the wall and the roof are shown here. So the construction crew knows what to expect and knows what to put together and what materials and products to order and get from the subcontractors, if any. So that was basically it. That was a very brief overview of the construction drawings, and that was supplementary to my videos about the chapters, contents. So I hope you find this video and my other videos valuable. So please subscribe to my channel and I will be happy to answer any questions. So if you have any suggestions or questions or concerns, please leave a comment under this video and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Again, thank you so much. I will see you in my other videos and good luck with all your studies. Bye.